Well, the first thing to say is the Church certainly doesn't condemn praying in tongues. It's explicitly mentioned in the Catechism, paragraph 2003, so the Church is certainly open to it as a gift of the Spirit. But there is a further question as to what that phrase actually means. When St. Thomas Aquinas treats on the topic, it's quite clear from his discussion that he's dealing with it as the gift of the ability to speak multiple languages here present on earth for the sake of evangelization, spreading the gospel. When most people mention praying in tongues, they usually make reference to St. Paul, particularly his first letter to the Corinthians, chapters 12 to 14. But when you read those passages, it's quite clear that what St. Paul is exhorting that primitive Christian community to do is discern whether this activity that certain people are engaged in is actually a gift of the Spirit or not. For him, it's ultimately a question of discernment. Now, that brings us to the broader question of charisms more generally. A charism as a particular gift given to a particular individual. Unlike the fundamental graces such as sanctifying grace or the infused virtues of faith, hope and charity, a charism is not given to every individual Christian. But regardless of the gift and regardless of the Christian in question, it is always a gift given to contribute to the edification of the Church, the building up of the Church in charity. It's important to emphasize that a charism is not some exceptional natural ability, it's not a quality of character, it's a gift of God, a gift of the Holy Spirit. And it's always given for the sake of the apostolate, for the service of others, for the building up of the Church in charity. Now, if you want to read more on this topic, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith released a letter in 2016, Juve Nascit Ecclesia, dealing with the relationship between the hierarchical and charismatic gifts of the Church. And if you're interested on a more individual level to determine whether you yourself have been given one of these charisms, the Catherine of Siena Institute here in Australia runs programs for parishes and schools along exactly those lines. So in conclusion, if praying in tongues helps you to pray, go for it. The Church has nothing against it. If it's a question of discerning whether a particular individual has been given the charism, then further investigation is required to determine whether and to what extent it helps build up the Church in charity.